Let April be the month you transform and become a butterfly. That is the resurrection kind of vibes that April is giving. April is giving Venus energy, class, elegance, kindness, genuineness, authenticity, sensing into people's intentions. The I can feel you without you even having to say something sort of vibe, right? That is April, because guess what? This month, as you already know, because we're already in it, because I waited until that Mercury went direct in Pisces. Not that I planned my whole life around the planets. I want to be really distinct about this. Disclaimer, disclaimer, right? We're not predicting things here, right? I use the planets in the way to help me track time, to help me complete and start new cycles in my life. If a planet is completing this 11-year cycle and I become aware of it, and then I have this beautiful reflection of the past 11 years, and I want to like move on with my life and do something great and like be better than it was and learn all the lessons and plant the seeds and go forward and, create what I truly desire and be in my purpose, I'm going to use the planets as like helpers, right? So we are going to look at this next month with a new perspective. It's a very holy month. And one of my clients and I were discussing a little bit about spirit. What people say, I talk to spirit, I talk to spirit. Well, she said, well, what other spirit are you talking to if it's Holy Spirit? Holy Spirit. What other spirit are you talking to if it's not Holy Spirit? So I was feeling into that conversation, me like, that's a great question. Okay, we're going to be more precise this April, right? Because we got some back and forth of these retrogrades of both Venus and Mercury, ba, 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 going from that Venus and Mercury in Aries to Pisces, that feeling of completion and we're ending. Are we done? Okay, we're starting over. Okay. Sometimes when we are starting something new, something old kind of shows up and we're like, no, 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 we're starting something new, right? Or like an old habit or like some sort of like old situation or thing or like unresolvedness. Some things may be unearthed at this time. Um, only to move on, right? To actually say something or to actually like get it out, move on, bada bing, bada boom. May peace be with you. You know what I mean? So let's jump right in. Let us jump right into April. Okay. Don't mind all my tabs. This is like me on a good day. And I'm just giving you one slideshow today because I kind of veered off I did a lot of the slideshow in the beginning. It was like, how am I going to anchor this in, right? How am I going to talk about the planets in a way that is practical, that is entertaining, but is also a new language for a lot of people? And the way I'm working with my literal brain and my intelligence and how I want to continue, I really value my mind, my mindfulness. I've become very aware of how important not only our physical bodies, everything about our bodies, but my mindfulness, my mental health, right? I need to know who is in my mind but me, okay? Not y'all. You can't be in my mind. That is my sacred space, right? So how do I protect my mind from things that I cannot see and clearly, that can affect my mind, stress, whatever. And also, we are moving into this technological world of different frequencies and buzzings and like, just the way our human bodies are adjusting to either different frequencies or the earth is really moving a lot right now. There's different volcanoes, there are different earthquakes, like tension is being released, right? So we use the planets as a way to communicate a cycle. So if I know that a new cycle is beginning, for example, Neptune is now in Aries. Ta-da! It already happened, right? Congratulations. things are going to be a bit more spiritual in a way of what is spirit? Like we said before, it's like, well, what is spirit? Who is spirit? What is the Holy Spirit, the creator of all, right? There is no masculine or feminine form in this source like energy, even bigger than a human mind could ever really like put together, right? Well, April's a holy month, right? We've got so many different um holy days in this month in all different religions. And I was just listening to another healer, and she was saying, like, astrology is just like the landing pad for so much religion, right? Like the pyramids are there are places, and it's just so amazing to be like there are certain temples, not there are, and there's probably were temples that are literally built exactly where these constellations will be at a certain amount of time, and the lights will pierce through this very particular place in space at a certain time. It was all about this preciseness with time, and they could rely on the planets, they could rely on the constellations, they can rely on the stars to communicate time to them, me, you, right? So if we know there's like patterns or there's cycles that are happening, that are ending, that are closing, sometimes we can just use the planets as our supporters and our helpers. So for example, I'm already feeling Saturn moving into Aries in May. Why? Because the when there's an end to a cycle, we start to feel the beginning, right? So we're starting to feel the Saturn in Pisces going, okay, we are almost there. We are almost at the finish line. Keep going. You got this. You got this. Keep going, right? Because once we get to that Saturn and Aries, it is a new cycle. And even deeper than that, Aries is the first, right? Aries is the trailblazer. Aries is the pioneer. So that's the energy we're in this April, most of April. Aries season ruled by Mars. Mars energy, the psychic surgeons, right? Mars is rules over surgeons, they rule over war, they rule over weapons, they rule over command, uh, discipline. Um, Aries are also just so exceptional with their ability to start. That's why we love an Aries, because an Aries will just do it. We're like, oh, wow, thank you. They give permission, right? So there's a lot of this energy that's kind of showing up this April. So we are in about this, we're about here right now as I'm recording this. We're in this week. I don't know about you, but this week was crunchy, okay? Whether Mercury was retrograde or not in Pisces, it doesn't even matter because Venus is also retrograding. So there's just like things happening, right? When it comes to Mars and Venus, and we're just like, okay, let's get our life together. If it's not feeling together, what can we do? Retrograde just means revise, refine, redefine. It just you gotta reflect. You gotta move some things along. You have to purify your consciousness. You have to purify your wrong actions or your past, right? Or you can bury it and put it under the rug, and it will keep coming up. Whichever way you prefer to live your life. So in Aries season, we're always going to have a full moon in Libra because Aries and Libra, boom, they're opposites. Libra's like, give me balance, give me Venus energy, right? So if Aries is about Mars energy, Libra's like, yes, and Venus energy, right? Like, got to be balanced, boo. And that's why they're also very good for each other because there is a balance within that fiery, let's go spirit. And also the Libra that's like, hey, let's check in with our partnerships. Let's know that our decisions are going to affect other people in our life. So let's actually let's balance the checks and balances, right? Let's take another look at things. Let's actually take take a few minutes. Let's make a plan, right? So we always love a good full moon in Libra during Aries season because the planets are always balancing out. There's this beautiful thing. If we are made of stardust, I almost said starburst. If we're made of starburst, no, if we're made of stardust, then if the planets are moving, the planets are, we're all made of all these things. So if they're communicating, if this is like a cool, mysterious way as to how we live our life on this planet as humans, with these beautiful creatures of animals and plants. And speaking of animals, Leo wants to come in. Leo, do you want to come in? Do you want to come in, then? Yes. Leo always hears the call. He's like, oh, mom's talking about astrology. I gotta come in here. I gotta come in and say hi. Hi, thank you for coming in and saying hello. You can lay down if you want. Yeah, or you can play. One of the two. One of the two. So we have our beautiful animal friends, we have our plant friends, we have our ocean friends, we have our fire friends. We got all sorts of friends. Like the whole planet, all the world, all the things, right? Very, very, very cool. We all have to be here together, right? So we're also at this place of Libra being like, hello, you have a ripple effect, right? So I want you to know that you have an impact in this world. You can impact other people. That is how important you are in the grand scheme of things. Whether it's in small situations or it's in larger circumstances, you have an impact. You can influence other people. You can influence yourself. You have the power, right? So Libra's like, now, if we're going to be just, if we're going to have justice in the room with us, if we're going to have a true integrous moral compass here, the decision should not be hard, right? These shouldn't be hard decisions. They're actually very simple. Because if any of these decisions or any of these things that we're choosing to do that either harm ourselves or other people, is that really the right decision? Right? That same day, Venus goes direct in Pisces. I just feel like it's going to be one of those days, and Pisces rules like our subconscious, very floaty, kind of between worlds, can feel very much in their emotional and dream-like centers. We've been obviously a lot of Saturn in Pisces, so we've been with the Pisces, right? So we've really learned how to immerse ourselves in that flow energy and then how to also go, okay, time for a break. Let's go ahead and take time for ourselves now. Okay, let's put down the woo-woo and let's go outside in nature and just like be human being. Okay, let's put down the role that you play at work, and now why don't you just walk around like yourself, right? Put down the masks, put down the camo, when is that happening? Who can you do that with and why, right? That Venus direct in Pisces and that full moon in Libra is just going to be very, who can I authentically be with at this time? Who brings out this authentic side of me that I feel is rippling in a positive impact in the world? Those are the people that I must be around more often so then I can continue that energy mechanism, right? And machine and just radiate and glow. Okay? Because we got that Mars entering Leo. Okay? Hi, Leo. No wonder Leo was like, you rang. Mars entering Leo. This has happened before. This has always happened before. But there's going to be some sort of callback. There's going to be some sort of like, uh-oh. Or like, is that? Mars was in Gemini in the summer, right? So it was around like summer or fall. There were things that were put in place. I mean, I could nudge you, right? That we are understanding there are causes and there are effects. So, this Mars in Leo, it is about not only can I help myself at an individual level, but how can I also help other people feel empowered at their individual level? It is not up to me to lift the whole freaking community. It is up to me to ripple effect, right? My good energy into the world and glow and go, right? So where's your go and glow? Because then Aries season is going to come to an end and we are going into Taurus season. So always when it's like spring is springing, we've got Easter around here. I believe we have Passover around here. So it's a lot of gatherings, a lot of families, a lot of people coming together, celebrating, being in a sacred, holy mindset. Um, this is when people are coming together, right? So there's going to be a lot of coming together, which is also very like Libra and Aries, right? Aries always got friends everywhere. You like everybody knows like Aries is just such a good time and they're hilarious. They're like a Gemini. Put a Gemini and an Aries together and you're like, this is the best TV show ever. Like, oh my God. Like all sorts of entertainment and so much heart. So it's not just entertaining you. It's like you will never be bored. You know what I mean? So then we slow things down with that Sun in Taurus. So then, as all the get-togethers, we're all getting together, the collective's going to go, okay, right? Now we're in that spring. All right. Now it's springtime. Now it's springtime. So spring break is over. Those celebrations are over. Now the next thing that our mind is thinking about is summer. Summer vacation. We're so close. We're out of that hibernation. We're starting to smell the flowers. People are becoming more alive and hopefully in a positive way that people are feeling like a positive energy. Because I feel like people have been a little bit moody and mean lately. I don't know if it's like all of a sudden really cool to be mean, like a lot. If that's the case, let's put an end to that. I just feel like it's not going to help anyone. The Bitmojis like changed their little emoji guys and they look so mean. I'm like, I don't want to send that to anyone. It just looks like I'm judging them and I'm looking all shady all the time. And I'm like, huh, I wonder if like here we have no emotion in a lot of our, faces where we're giving like model face or we're giving dead face or we're giving just like sexy eyes or just like this is like what it is. I'm just like lying here and, feeling the vibe. People are now like, that's so easy to just like put on, right? Mars and Leo, right? You can just put on the performance so well, but like, I don't even want that. I want the real. Give me a real smile. Give me a real laughter. Give me real um uh emotional angst, that like moves through a it's kind of like a song, right? So you have to move through the story, right? Show me how you do that. Show me more of yourself, right? It's going to be more about like, girl, anybody can look cute and like put on the like, What's underneath it? Is there anything underneath that pretty face, that pretty look, that pretty trendy vibe, that pretty whatever, right? Because April can be so pretty. It can be very, very pretty, actually. So we are now going to then go in that Taurus energy, which is all about value, 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 quality and value, legacy, Venus energy. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Okay. So once again, we got that Venus energy. Not only did we get it with that full moon in Libra and that Venus ruled by Venus, right? Then we got that Venus going direct in Pisces, which is like, okay. People got their cute, sunglasses on. They got like their cute little bags. They got their like very chic photo shoot. They got the spring, like spring break. I'm here. It's just springtime. I've blossomed, right? What's underneath it. Let's go deeper, right? So then we go into that sun enters Taurus, and then the moon, of course, the new moon in Taurus. That happens on the 27th. So then we're in more of this grounded energy, right? So it's like, kind of like, if you know Tauruses, they're like, prove it. Okay, prove it. We're gonna be in prove it energy, Taurus season. It just feels like, okay, prove it. Where's your receipts? Let me see. You know, numbers don't lie, okay? Check it out. And then we have the Venus enters Aries. April 30th. This feels like deja vu because in March, we talked about how Venus energy isn't the most comfortable in Aries only because it loves Mars, right? So it's interesting that whatever was kind of happening in March, there was like some like movement and things were happening, right? We're going to have a comeback to Jesus. Oh my gosh, we're going to have a comeback to Jesus. We're going to have a comeback to Jesus moment, okay? Literally, you know, hallelujah. Jesus, he is resurrected from the dead. Jesus is an Aries, you know, so like put your Aries on. If Jesus is an Aries, he'd be like, what the fuck is going on here? Let's go. Like things need to be cleaned up. Like he'd be like, He'd be in his commando energy, being like, I'm flipping this table and I'm flipping this table and I'm flipping this table. This is not how we do it if I'm the son of God. Okay? I told y'all. I told y'all. You're not listening. Okay? So, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Like that would be Jesus as an Aries, okay? You'd be like, okay, Jesus, no problem. I want you to like, I want to like hang out with you because you're like so fun, but like also like you're activating this energy in me to be like, yes, yes, I want to be responsible. I want to be a good person. Yes, right? That would be Aries energy. So we're gonna have to come back to Jesus with that Aries energy. I love how this is all coming together. Because that Venus enters Aries. So then we still got some fire energy within this Taurus earthy energy, which is always the best because bless you, because the earth can hold that fire. So if you got a beautiful campfire, you need some wood, right? You need that fire. You need that wood to hold this beautiful fire. So there's a little bit of a deja vu happening at the end of the month. I don't know what that means. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be nothing. There could be nothing. Like, you know what I mean? But it just feels like a come to Jesus, a come back around of like, oh, remember me? Oh, you thought that was over? Like just something, which is kind of fun because that's a very Aries energy to like just like play into. So Mars and Leo play into the performance. Oh, you really? You know, people are going to get a little goofy. Mars and Leo gets a little goofy sometimes, where it's like, can you please make this decision and stop being like, you need to take this seriously. Sometimes Mars and Leo is like, okay, you sit down, we need to have a conversation. Let's take off the jester. You know what I mean? We got to be serious. Okay, Mars in Leo. There is time to play, and there's also time to be real. Aries is like we are talking war, okay? Like let's sit down and like strategize. You can't just do it, right? It's all a strategy. It's all steps and places because you never want to like just go and be like, yeah, let's do it. No, no. It's the worst place, like the worst way to play war. Like, no, you have to strategize. You have to manipulate. You have to spy. You have to hoard weapons. You have to think of every possibility and gate and any openings and where they could be, right? If we flip that and we actually are like, all right, how we get these people paid? Yes. All right, how do I make more art for my business so that more people can have this beautiful ripple effect of love in their life and just this opening of this beautiful source-like energy, source, Holy Spirit energy, right? Holy Spirit, no other spirit but Holy Spirit, right? Energy, a lightness that you feel that takes over all the density, all the stuff that was pushing on you. That's not spirit. No. That's these like, you gotta go shoot, rip that shit off, give it to the universe, say, I am unavailable for this. Thank you. No, I say, hell no, it's black magic. I'm not doing that shit, okay? Like, I'm done with that. No, do no harm to myself and do no harm to others. Return to sender. Thank you very much. Moving on. And there's your Venus in Aries. Okay. So that is April in 2025. Told you there's gonna be a lot of spirituality. There's many conversations happening at once. We kind of dipped into like more of a esoteric conversation, if you will, because of course people are going to be doing, I mean, this is the time to do rebirth, resurrection, creator, all that sort of stuff, right? All that sort of stuff. People use that time. If you know when people be using that time to do what? Where are your rituals? What are you doing for yourself in your business, in your family, right? Hang out with the planets and they will show you. They will remind you, hey, when's your business's birthday, right? Like, all right, get some of that energy in there. All right, let's do this, right? So that's April. And with that, 30 minutes. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, short and sweet. Not too sweet. Don't eat too many of those chocolates and those peeps. You know what I'm saying? Because it's also a very sweet month. So, you know. Okay. Bye.